The world, as I said earlier, is more dangerous and divided. The U.S. has fundamentally changed its approach to trade, raising its tariffs to levels last seen during the Great Depression. Many of our former strengths, based on our close ties to America, have become our weaknesses that we must correct. Workers in our industries most affected by U.S. tariffs, in autos, in steel, in lumber, are under threat. Businesses are holding back investments, restrained by the pall of uncertainty that's hanging over all of us. The U.S. has changed, and we must respond. Canada Strong is our plan to build Canada by Canadians, for Canadians. It will attract new investment so we can build more for ourselves, striking new partnerships abroad so we can sell into new markets. It's about taking back control of our security, our borders, and our future.
Canada has recently offered a striking example of what firm, transparent leadership can look like in a time of uncertainty. Instead of relying on vague reassurance or overly polished messaging, the country's prime minister chose a different path, one grounded in honesty, clarity, and accountability. The speech did not attempt to soften reality or avoid uncomfortable truths. Rather, it laid out the situation as it stands, explained the strategy being pursued, and acknowledged the challenges that lie ahead. That level of openness is unusual in modern political communication, where leaders often feel pressure to present optimism, even when circumstances are difficult. Here, the tone was different. Direct, composed, and rooted in a belief that citizens are better served by truth than by illusion. At the heart of this communication style is a concept closely associated with Mark Carney, who previously led two major G7 central banks. The concept known as forward guidance emerged during the global financial crisis as a way to stabilize expectations during periods of extreme uncertainty. At that time, economies around the world were facing collapse, financial institutions were failing, and public confidence was deteriorating rapidly. In such conditions, what leaders said and how consistently they said it became as important as the policies themselves. Forward guidance was built on a simple but powerful principle: communicate clearly, act decisively, and reassure the public, not by minimizing the crisis, but by demonstrating that a plan exists and will be followed through. It was never about pretending that everything was under control in the moment. Instead, it was about making it clear that authorities would continue taking action with determination and scale until stability was restored. That approach helped calm markets and rebuild confidence during one of the most volatile periods in modern economic history. Now, same framework is being applied to Canada's current circumstances. Prime Minister emphasized that his goal is not to reduce the seriousness of the situation, but to ensure Canadians understand it fully. He committed to ongoing communication, explaining what is working, identifying what is not, and updating the public as conditions evolve. This approach places trust at the center of governance, assumes that people can handle difficult truths provided they are given clear direction and a credible plan. The challenge Canada faces today is both immediate and structural. The United States, which has long been Canada's closest economic partner, has shifted its approach to trade in a significant way. Tariffs have been raised to levels not seen since the Great Depression, marking a departure from decades of relatively open trade between the two countries. For much of modern history, Canada's economic model relied heavily on integration with the United States. Supply chains, manufacturing systems, and export markets were deeply interconnected, creating efficiency and growth. This deep integration has also created exposure. When U.S. policy changes, Canada feels the effects immediately. Industries such as automotive manufacturing, steel production, and lumber, sectors that depend heavily on cross-border trade, are now facing increased pressure. Workers in these fields are at risk. Businesses are delaying investment decisions, and uncertainty is making long-term planning more difficult. Rather than avoiding this reality, the Prime Minister addressed it directly, stating clearly that the United States has changed its posture and that Canada must respond accordingly. The response outlined in the speech is a comprehensive strategy referred to as Canada Strong. This plan is ambitious in both scale and scope. It aims to mobilize approximately $1 trillion in investment across the Canadian economy, targeting growth, resilience, and independence. One of its central objectives is to create a more unified domestic market. Currently, Canada operates through a complex system of federal, provincial, and territorial jurisdictions, many of which impose internal trade barriers. These barriers limit efficiency and reduce the country's overall economic potential. By removing them, the government hopes to unlock new levels of productivity and growth. Infrastructure development is another key component of the plan. The strategy includes the construction of new trade and transportation corridors designed to connect different regions more effectively. Energy development is also a major focus, particularly in the area of clean energy. The goal of doubling Canada's clean energy capacity reflects both an economic priority and a long-term commitment to sustainability. These projects are intended not only to strengthen the domestic economy, but also to position Canada competitively in a changing global market. Importantly, the Prime Minister did not present these goals as easy or guaranteed. He acknowledged their complexity and the effort required to achieve them. He argued that in times of crisis, bold action is necessary. Waiting for external conditions to improve, he suggested, is not a viable strategy. This perspective led to a direct rejection of the idea that Canada should simply wait for the United States to revert to its previous policies. According to the speech, relying on that possibility would amount to wishful thinking rather than strategic planning. The message was clear. Hope alone cannot guide national decision-making, and nostalgia for past stability cannot replace forward-looking action to reinforce this argument. The Prime Minister placed the current situation within a broader historical context. He noted that recent generations have experienced a series of major global disruptions, including the Iraq War, the financial crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic, and now shifting trade dynamics. These events illustrate a pattern rather than an exception. The global environment is increasingly unpredictable, and stability cannot be taken for granted. In this context, the ability to adapt and build internal strength becomes essential. The speech also drew on deeper historical references to illustrate the importance of unity and collective effort. The Prime Minister spoke about a statue of Isaac Brock, a figure associated with the War of 1812. Before Canada existed as a formal nation, Brock played a key role in defending the territory against invasion. However, his success was not the result of individual action alone. It depended on alliances between military leaders, local communities, and Indigenous nations. Among those allies was Tecumseh, who united various groups to resist expansion and protect their lands. This historical example serves as a reminder that cooperation and shared purpose have long been central to Canada's resilience. When faced with external threats, unity has been the country's most effective response. The Prime Minister used this narrative to emphasize that the challenges of today require a similar collective effort. Beyond vision and symbolism, the strategy includes a series of concrete policy measures that are already being implemented in the housing sector. A new federal agency has been established to accelerate the construction of affordable homes and modernize the way housing is built. Early indicators suggest some improvement, with rental costs beginning to stabilize after a prolonged period of rapid increase. In infrastructure and energy, regulatory barriers that previously delayed major projects are being reduced or eliminated, allowing development to proceed more quickly. These agreements are intended to expand access to new markets and reduce dependence on any single trading partner. Defense policy has also been updated as part of the broader strategy. Recruitment for the Canadian Armed Forces has increased following a significant rise in defense spending. This increase represents the largest expansion in generations and brings Canada closer to the level of investment expected by its allies. Since the fall of the Berlin Wall, Canada has not consistently met these expectations. The new approach is designed to address that gap, while also contributing to economic activity through defense-related investment. At the same time, the plan includes measures aimed at providing immediate financial relief to citizens. The government has eliminated the consumer carbon tax and introduced tax cuts benefiting millions of middle-class families. First-time homebuyers are receiving additional support, while transportation costs in certain regions have been reduced. A new automated benefit system is being developed to ensure that eligible individuals receive financial support without navigating complex application processes. If you found this analysis valuable, make sure to like the video, share it with others who want clear, honest insights, and subscribe for more in-depth breakdowns.